Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Author Spotlight. Hey, it's your main man, the host with the most, Darren M. Palmer. So excited to be with you for another episode where I go behind the scenes with best-selling authors, those who are making a difference, those who are change agents, thought leaders, and planet shakers. And we have a planet shaker on today. I think I've been saying your name wrong this whole time, Coach, and you didn't tell me nothing about it the whole time. Is it Franqua?
Franqua, that's it.
Okay, Franqua. Now, the reason I brought that up is because we was calling him in the office Franqua for the longest until I went down there to the book lunch. I had to share. That's why we behind the scenes. That's why this is behind the scenes. So I got to hearing everybody at the book lunch saying Franqua. I said, man, I've been tearing this man's name up for a while, but I'm glad I stuck with Coach Q. But before I have Coach Q come on in, I just want to share a little bit about Franqua Bedell, known to many as Coach Q, as you heard me share earlier, has a distinguished career as a coach, speaker, trainer, and author. The active head women's basketball coach at Tallahassee Community College won the 2018 NJCAA Women's Division I National Basketball Championship and was named the 2018 Spalding National Coach of the Year. Coach Q started off the bench consultant in 2014 and Hoops U Elite Skill Development Training in 2013 after spending the last 20 plus years coaching and public speaking. Now, Coach, I shared a little bit about your bio. If you don't mind, please say hello to the audience and fill in any of the gaps that I might have left out in your bio.
Okay. How you doing? And it's a pleasure. And thank you, Darren, for having me on the podcast. And I mean, you cover most of it. I've been coaching and teaching since I've graduated college and been in part of education for a big part of my career. I've done some things outside for a year or two, and mainly that was, kind of entrepreneur stuff, but pretty much been in the field of coaching and teaching and helping and developing youth for the last 20 plus years.
Man, that's awesome, Coach. And I know people want to know. I mean, I seen it on the shirt that you showed me earlier, from Chumps to Champs. Please share. You could have went in so many other directions as far as your first book. Why did you go with From Chumps to Champs as the first book?
Well, I felt like the timing was perfect. We had gotten with Darren and we were working on another direction, and thanks to his vision and a positive attitude, I came to him and said, hey, we need to go in a different direction. I've been working on this book, From Chumps to Champs, after winning the national championship. A lot of people were asking me, what did that feel like? Did you journal it? What were you going through? What was your feelings and your emotion? And so in that 3 week span, I just I need to write this out. And so it took me 3 weeks to kind of get that format, the formula. Me writing the first book kind of helped me have an idea how I wanted to gear this one and outline it, with my wife and Lauren and your help and your staff's help. We made magic happen, and it wasn't easy, but it worked out.
And you know what, Coach? Speaking of workout, I know some of the people out there are thinking to themselves, "How in the world this young man? He got Coach of the Year. He's working with these young ladies at the college. He's teaching. He's doing consulting. He's married. You're doing things in your community. Some things that we haven't even shared yet, Coach. It's one thing to think about doing the book, but what made you believe that you could do a book when so many have failed at the task?
Oh, the biggest thing is, I feel like I had to get it out. If I didn't get it out, it'll probably die with me. And I'm in one of those modes where, you have a certain window of opportunity to do certain things in your life. And that window was open and I didn't want it to close. And so I'm at the point where it's like, I'm getting older. I'm 42 years old. And I feel like I've got to make things happen. And I can't wait. I can't sit here and wait, and I keep telling our girls, in one of the crucial games of the season, I told them they can be tired when they're dead, and I gotta live by that too. You know, I can rest when I'm dead, and so you know I choose to keep pushing and get things out there. And if people enjoy it, they enjoy it. If they don't, no, they don't, and we just keep it moving. But I've got to get it out of me and leave something here.
Mm. And for those who are listening to Coach Q share right there, I want you to understand the importance. And you hear me saying this over and over and over. I know it's repetitive, but I want to make sure that you get it. Repetition is the key to learning. And you must understand the legacy piece. I always state that when I'm doing an interview, and you're hearing that as the common denominator with these change agents and planet shakers that I'm bringing on this show behind the scenes, that you're seeing that it's a bigger cause there. They have a sense of urgency. For those who see me present, and I use the analogy of an acronym for a CPR, you guys must be capable, prepared, and ready to do whatever it takes to get it out, because somebody else is dependent on your story, on your expertise, on the things that you've been through, or on your poems, or whatever it may be. Someone is depending on you to get that content out, and they're held up because you won't get it out. And I'm so glad that Coach brought that up. And speaking of it, Coach, I brought up some of the things that you're doing, but Coach, realistically, how in the world are you creating content? With your schedule, most people don't even have nowhere close the responsibilities that you have or the titles, but you still get it done. Could you give us some hacks or some understanding how you create content?
Well, and I tell people everything around you is content. So I was in a faculty meeting yesterday, and they did something with QEP, and it's quality enhancement preparation. And I changed it to something that fit me, and I was like, I like that. I like the quality enhancement, and then you know being prepared. So I took that note down, and I'm gonna develop something out of it. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day about 33, and then, you know, we were talking about certain things. So it's like, man, 33% rule. 33% will buy in, 33% won't. That middle 33rd, what is that? And so I'm using content to pull that out. So at the end of the day, I think everything around us is content, and you know, people that are in your life that share stuff with you, they feed you content. If you're open and willing to hear it, and your mind always has to be willing on how can I make this something a part of something I'm doing, or a chapter, and that's kind of how I've been breaking it down, and didn't realize I've been doing that for years, not realizing that it was going to be beneficial for me writing a book.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I know some people were asking, maybe it might be getting up early in the morning. Maybe it might be you recording content. But like you said, and when you understand that it's an abundance and content is everywhere, and I love that carpe diem mentality that you have, a season a day, you know, instead of just, you know, blocking out everything that they're presenting while you're there for the workshop or whatnot, you taking time out saying like, I can implement this in my own thoughts. I can implement it in my own program of planning. Or when I'm speaking to individuals as well and change some things up. I love a mentor of mine, shared Coach, of copying genius. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. Copy genius. Find a way to find people who are doing extraordinary things, and then just find a way how you can tailor some and make it your own as well, piggybacking off what they have already accomplished. They are a genius for a reason. So for those out there listen to Coach Q, it's plenty of content that's passing right by you every day. You looking at it and not even paying attention to it. But that could have been your aha, your epiphany to get you to the next level. You know, Coach, I know that you're coaching, you're doing consulting. Like I said, you're married, you got so many other things going on. But I want you to share with the audience too as well. How has this experience been to you, as far as those around you, whether it been family members, colleagues? Could you just share some of the feedback that you've gotten since you've published the book, and how it's changed your life?
I think for the most part, the biggest thing I think it's done is made me credible. I think people, you know, and I don't take anything away from what I've done before, but I think it gives me more credibility. I've gotten feedback. One of the parents of my recruit texted me, and it was her father. He texted me. He says, "I have much more respect for what you're doing and how you're doing it after reading your book." And he goes, "And I pray that my daughter make it through this program, because I know she does. She's gonna be in special hands." And so, you look at those moments, and then with your colleagues, I think it's giving them a little bit more respect, because it's not just about basketball. Um, it's about really developing these young people's lives and changing lives, and being, like you said, a change agent, and transforming a person from, what they give us, and I say 18 years of what a parent gives me, and having to help transform that in 12 to 24 months. And so you're kind of like a potter in that regard, but I think people have given a little bit more credibility to, what we're doing, and who I am, and what I'm trying to produce as a whole. And so I think that has helped, but it's changed my life, because I think people look at, I've done probably more interviews. I've gotten more attention, not only on top of the national championship, but, they're like, he's also produced and published a book. And, and I think that makes people more curious. But, I keep telling people I'm more than just a basketball coach.
I mean, that's some of that good. That's some of that Campbell soup knowledge right there, y'all. Hey, you it's one thing to talk about it, but like I said, for those who are tuning in, make sure you understand it's nothing like taking action. It's nothing like taking action. It's one thing. Now, Coach Q could have took this a different route. He could have just cried on the sideline, telling everybody I'm more than a coach, and why don't anybody respect me on this level? They're not giving me credit where credit is due. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's my ethnicity, it's this, is that, it's my hairstyle, all this other stuff. But it's nothing like execution. You can draw it up all day, you can talk all day, but when you execute, now people, they have to, whether they like you or not, they have to respect you. And Coach, I just wanted to throw this in real quick. Now, I'm not a Kobe Bryant fan, so I don't want all the Lakers fans to get mad at me. I mean, I'm a fan of some of the things that he's done off the court. I love, how he was awarded. I love the things he's doing for his business, keeping his life right. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about on some of the moves he pulled in the locker room, I didn't really agree with. But at the end of the day, when it comes to him being a basketball player, no matter how I feel about some of the things he might have did, how he snitched on Shaq and all that, for the record, but at the same time, when it comes to him as a basketball player, though, for me to just sit there and say that this guy isn't a phenomenal basketball player or one of the best that ever played, then it's shame on me. It's shame on me with that. And so I'm bringing that when we look at Coach Q, Coach Bedell's, Franquas' book, and we see what he's been able to accomplish. It's one thing with him talking about it. And you can have your thoughts about Coach Q like I have about Kobe Bryant on certain things. But when you look at the work that he has put out, when you look at how he's scaled, when you see the man has switched up and used transferable skills to go from one area to another area and still got results and was successful in getting a book, successful in winning a championship, successful in starting a business, doing consulting, speaking engagements, doing interviews. When you see this, success leaves clues. And so, it's just like a 1980s Jerry curl. You got to follow the drip, baby. You got to follow the drip. So when we look at this, you get an understanding that success leaves clues. So when you're listening to Coach Q, I want y'all to pick up on that. Did you see what happened? The man has transitioned into different areas and still had success. So, Coach, now when you go and you speaking to corporate, those same transferable skills are going to be implemented in that corporation to allow for them to grow their sales, to make sure that they relate with one another, together, that they empathetic and have sympathy for one another. If another coworker is going through something, instead of just being considered as a number. So in so many areas, a book can help change your life. And, Coach Q, I just want to tell you that I salute you. I respect you for all the things that you're doing, how you're pouring into lives all across the globe. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. But please share with the audience, how can they find out more about you? And let me just give a few things that I need to hear. How can they buy the book? about the nonprofit, and also about your consulting and speaking. If you could touch on those areas and anything else you want to, but I don't want to let those areas go by without that information being shared on this podcast.
Okay. You can buy the book at www.fromchumpstochamps.com and or on Amazon. If you go to Amazon, you won't get it autographed. If you go to www.fromchumpstochamps.com, we'll have an autograph for you and we'll mail it right out. My nonprofit is Get in the Game, People Helping People. And right now we're rolling that out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're rolling that out. And my ultimate goal is to be in communities, just helping people, and hopefully it will spread across the country. But my ultimate goal is to help people and share with people how to help people. And so we're raising the money. Our first adventure is to give away 500 from Chumps to Champs book and feed 500 people. So right now I'm in the process of raising money to do that. Our next venture after that will be to help burn kids go to camp. And so every 3 quarters, I have a different fundraiser that I'm raising money for, not just for my organization, but for other organizations and people that are doing tremendous things in the community and nationwide. After that will be MD or MS that we'll be working on. And so just really, truly trying to get in the game and really help people. My speaking company is called Off the Bench Consulting. We're about to, don't want to give you the website because we're about to change the website. We'll have some curriculum, self-paced curriculum that we'll have online that I'm developing right now that you can take, and it will be very reasonable, but it will be a curriculum that will take you from a chump to a champ. And, and it will be through a process called, a platform called Kajabi, and that will be coming out shortly. And then we'll be forming a curriculum for assistant coaches called the Circle of Champion. And so there's a lot of things coming. I'm excited about it. I know Darren will be a big part of developing some of the workbooks that will go to some of those curriculums. And so I'm just excited, and that's how they can reach me and get a part of me. You can go to TallahasseeEagles.com, and you can see games streamed live, and you can also read more information about me there as well.
I told you, man. I told you the man wear many hats, but he wear them well. He wear them well. He wear them well. Well, we salute you, Coach. But before you get out of here, Coach, I want you to speak to that young lady out there, that young man, or somebody who a little bit more seasoned. I want you to speak to them right now, if you don't mind, and share. They might think, well, you know what? I don't have the confidence that Coach Q have. I don't have the nonprofit. I haven't won a championship, but I want to write a book. I want to share my story with the world. And they straddling the fence. Could you share with them, Coach, why it's important for them to still share their story, even though they might not be Franqua or Carlos Slim or Oprah Winfrey? But could you please share them why it's still important for them to share their story with the world?
Well, it's important because to those young ladies or young men, you don't want to leave that story, like you said earlier, you don't want to leave that story outside. People are in a holding pattern right now in life because you haven't shared your story. And at the end of the day, your story could let some people free. And so my biggest thing to you is don't be scared. I have, like right now, I'm mentoring my twin brother and working on his book, and it's called In the Shadows. And guess who the shadow is? And so I'm not really caught up in the title. I'm caught up in it, and he get his story out and he shared, because there are people that need to hear his story that mine won't resonate to them, but his will change their lives because he's been through so much, and he's been incarcerated, and he's been through this, and he's out, and he's moving forward, and his story needs to be told and he needs to be heard. But then also it gives him an opportunity. That's therapy. That writing was therapy, and me understanding more about myself, and it allowed me and my wife to get closer together. It allowed me and some other people to form a common bond. And so it will do a lot of different things. And then at the end of the day, you left a legacy and you left something here on earth. And whether it's big while you're here, it might be even bigger when you leave. So that's the thing that, you got to think about. And so I encourage you all to tell your story. Today is your day to tell your story.
Thank you so much, Coach. I really appreciate that. I really do, man. I mean, like I said, you definitely a champ in so many ways. But the thing that I like about Coach Q is that the same person that you see right now in this interview is the same person that you see off camera. He's a genuine person. Those who know him know that he's authentic about what he does and who he is. If he can help you, he can help you. If he can give you information, he's definitely willing to give you that information. So make sure that you seek out his wise counsel. Follow up on him about how you can contribute to the nonprofit. Make sure you connect with him if you need consulting. I know it's quite a bit of you who are in the coaching area, or you might be in corporate. Hey, get this guy in. Have him speak to your team. I guarantee you that you will see results. And definitely follow up with him on that curriculum when that comes out, and follow him on all his social media as well. But thanks, Coach. And I want to just send a salute to all those who tuned in today. Remember that this is the year for your new book. And remember, if you want change, be the change. Till next time, be blessed and be great.